So I'm very excited to say that we were contacted by the COO of Celluloid Dreams. His name is Guido Hankel. And he was like, would you guys like to receive the 1972 Italian Giallo film on 4K, The Case of the Bloody Iris? And I was like, duh. So, very exciting, because we never get sent anything from companies.
Yeah,
We've gotten
don't.
fan mail.
Well, yeah.
I basically stopped getting fan mail when Kaylee came around for some reason. I don't know why that happened. I used to get shit all the time, but since Kaylee's been on the channel, we never get fan mail anymore.
I'm bad luck.
I don't know what that means.
But this was really cool to get. This was exciting.
So, he sent us The Case of the Bloody Iris, 4K here. We've got a slipcover going over. We collectors love our slipcovers. Inside, you've got different artwork than the outside, which is always something that I prefer, so that you get two flavors here.
Yeah, I like that too.
And something that I've not seen before is we get have I ever seen this before? Probably, but it's not often if I have. We get as it said, the American English version on this side. I guess America's not the only country that owns English.
The English-American version.
And then we've got the Italian, the original title, the original poster here on this side. Which, this says something other than The Case of the Bloody Iris. It says something about Jennifer, which is the main character, and I only know that because I can read the word Jennifer at the end.
Yeah.
We should definitely look up what that says.
Sangue? Isn't that blood?
I don't know. You should Google that while we look. So, also, inside we have a Blu-ray as well as the 4K. Each disc has a different artwork. It's the artwork from the slipcover and the 4K. It has a reversible cover, so on this side you've got the English version with the typical special features and whatnot, but then if you take it out, flip it around, you got the Italian one. So whichever one you want, you got.
According to Google Translate, it says that this translates to "Why those strange drops of blood on Jennifer's body," which I think is a quote from the film, a quote from a poem in the film that they're talking about at one point.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
So this, we'll get to the film in a minute. We did watch it.
Yes.
We had never seen this one before. We've covered a decent amount of giallos on the channel. I'm sure that's what got their attention to send them to us. So I'm very happy that we reviewed all those giallos in a row, because I have no doubt that's what brought them to our channel.
Yeah, we really like giallos, and we were really happy to receive this. So.
Well, what's great too is that when we were doing our Giallo-thon and we had reviewed a ton in a row, it was the Edwige Fenech movies.
Yeah, so many of
that we had been watching for the most part. All the Colors of the Dark and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one we missed.
Yeah, so it was like perfect.
It was perfect,
Yeah.
right? So it's like when he said she was in it, I was like, oh, I wonder if it's one of the ones we watched. Maybe there's a different title or something, because these guys always have different titles. But no, this is not. He also sent us a mouse pad, which is very cool, and we'll be replacing the mouse pad on our computer.
Yes.
And also, we have a whole bunch of artwork here. These kind of remind me of the, I forget what they are called. They're like postcards, but they're in, I always forget what those things are called, but they include them with so many things, but they're never usually this big. And it came with like 5 or 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 of them. You got images from the film. There's some spoilers on that one. There's actually quite a few spoilers on all of these, but that's one. This is one.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's because You get to see her nipples.
No.
That's why I like it. These are good
This
gloss
is-
matte.
Yeah, they're very glossy
Glossy.
photos.
They're very glossy, not matte. That's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Sorry.
That's a big spoiler, so.
Yeah. So a lot of spoilers. Weirdly, and I'm assuming this is how it was originally when these were made. The nipple is blacked out here. It's actually blued out. I don't know if you can pick that up on camera or not. But the nipple is blue.
How weird.
Got a little block over it.
Yeah, it's
But
like
then,
a sensor.
But then this one.
I love this one.
No, those are shadows on her nipples, or are those her nipples? I can't tell.
Those
are her nipples.
Yeah, those are.
So why can they show her nipples
don't know.
here, but then they black out the other ones?
This is my favorite one, I think.
That one. Then we got the one in the street. We are going to be talking spoilers, so it doesn't really matter. If you're here, hopefully you've seen it. And with these kinds of movies, I don't know. They're, what is this, 52 years old? Anyway, and then here's the last one. You can see her nipples very clearly there. So I don't know why one of these decided to black it out, to blur it.
Yeah.
But then the other ones are like,
Interesting.
here's her nipples. So I don't get that, but it is what it is. And last thing we'll say before we jump into the movie review is they have a little insert here for their next film, which is The Black Belly of the Tarantula, another giallo we have not reviewed on the channel. So, if you like this, Guido, you can send us that whenever, and we would very much like to review that as well.
Yeah.
Any other companies ever want to send us Blu-rays or 4Ks?
We will watch them.
We will definitely.
And we'll review them.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially when they're just such nice sets like this.
I know.
This is the kind of
such a
stuff.
nice set.
So this is a brand new company.
Yep.
This is their very first release. So I will talk about the quality of the transfer. We only watched the 4K,
Yeah.
which we watched on our PlayStation 5. I don't think that's the best machine for 4K playing. It's not a bad one, but it's not top of the line. So some of my issues might stem from that. Also, we have a little older of a 4K TV. It's an LG. I've always liked LGs, but I can tell you it does not have the clarity that some of the display models have. Even this one's display, which we can never seem to replicate, no matter what thing I put on it. But it's definitely not an OLED or anything, which is my most coveted thing that I want. Or will be my most coveted thing once I have it, should I say. As far as the transfer goes, the transfer is beautiful.
Yeah, it looks great.
They kept a lot of the grain. They didn't use any tools to clean up the image too much.
But it was still very crisp.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only real issues that I found, and I could have, maybe the PlayStation didn't give me the option, but so there's a couple issues. Number one, you didn't have the ability to turn off the subtitles, which if you're going to offer both the Italian and the English version, if people are buying this who already speak Italian and that's the version they want, they don't need the subtitles. So they should be able to take them on and off. I don't know if that's just not an option. If your copy that you guys had just had the subtitles embedded and you couldn't get them out. I don't know. Also with the subtitles, my other issue is that in panning shots where the camera moved quickly and there was subtitles on the screen, they would blur out as the camera would move too quickly.
Yeah, it was kind of trippy looking. But that only happened, I think...
maybe 3 or 4 times.
I don't even think it was that much.
It was at least...
I think it was like twice.
2 to 3 times, for sure.
Yeah, it was very minimal and
very minimal.
Not distracting or any. Well, kind of distracting only because it was blurring the subtitles, but you were still able to read them before that happened. And no other part of the image distorted at all.
No.
So
yeah,
it was
just the subtitles.
That. Yeah.
Which is kind of odd. That's
that
why
could be our PlayStation.
Yes.
It could totally be ours. It might not be anything with the 4K, but obviously we'll mention it just in case it's something that other people are experiencing too.
So, if you are a giallo fan, if you are a physical media collector, if you are looking to upgrade your copy of The Case of Bloody Iris that maybe you have on like a DVD or a VHS or something, and you're like, I want a cleaner, crisper image, I can guarantee you that this definitely does the job. I did not check my Blu-ray to compare and contrast with the 4K to see if like there's any actual upgrade to it, but it is the only thing that they offer. There is no Blu-ray only. So definitely go check out the website. I will leave it in the description below. If as you're a Giallo fan, this is definitely going to be one you're going to want to add to your collection. And let's jump into talking about it. How did this stack up against the other Giallos? It's pretty like comparable. I mean, it feels like every other Giallo for the most part. Some are better than others. I would say this is kind of like a mid-tier one.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I didn't love it. The style is all fine. It feels Giallo-ish enough. Having Edwige in it, of course,
she's just so wonderful.
Is going to immediately make this a must-have, I feel.
Yeah.
You can't be into Giallos and not collect her work, because she's like, I don't know.
She's in so many.
She is like the darling of the Giallo world. She's in the majority of them, the big ones that we've watched outside of like Argento. You know?
Yeah. I really love her. I think that she's gorgeous. I think we always comment on it whenever she's on screen in a film, just how she looks like somebody in the 70s. Like she has such a dated, but like just time appropriate. Like she really looks like she's from that era, which of course she is. And I think that the acting in Giallos is very soap opera-y for the most part, but I really like her performances. I feel like she has these really big, beautiful brown eyes that convey a lot of emotion. Yeah. And I feel like, there's so many shots in this film, and then of course in others, that really do like the tight close-up face shots of her. And I think she does a really good job at like emoting with her eyes and her face.
Yeah.
So
spoilers for the film. Obviously, I already said that, but let me reiterate just to make sure. All right. So I guess the first thing to talk about here, this is kind of jumping through the whole film as a whole. Is this, for you, I already know what you're going to say, because we talked about it a little bit. And I find this to be very true of a lot of Giallos. But this is a very... I guess I was asking a question, and now I'm like being like, no, fuck it, I'm not even going to ask the question. This feels like a very anti-gay movie.
Yeah.
And I find that to be true with a lot of Italian Giallos. Or Italian Giallos. Giallos.
Yeah. Giallis,
you're right. Yeah, the plural. Which, of course, it's a snapshot of the time and the place and everything. And there's still places that are like this. I don't know how Italy has come around to gay rights at this point. I don't know what the sentiment is towards homosexuality there. Is like what the split is. I think you're going to find homophobia literally anywhere.
Sure.
But to what percent? And what are the laws and all of that? I don't know Italy's history with like homophobia and gay rights and marriage and all that stuff. But watching this, it's very evident that the Times is not particularly kind to that proclivity.
As much as I really love Giallis, for the aesthetics and what they mean as far as like horror history and everything, I always find like when we watch them, they do feel like a guilty pleasure to me, because I find that a lot of them are very misogynistic.
Absolutely.
And like this one, it is got some homophobia in it for sure. And I find it so fascinating, because I do think that that's probably indicative of movies in general, like in the 70s and maybe even late 60s, in terms of like showing women as sexual creatures and then the homosexuality being kind of demonized. Whether it's like, oh, it's Satan, or like they're witches or whatever. Like, I think that's a theme that comes up a lot. And throughout, like, you know, cinema history, it's not just in the 70s or anything. Like, it definitely happens all the time. You know, maybe not as often now.
Just feels more in your face in these.
But it does feel more in your face. And one thing I will say about this one is that, like all giallo films that we watch, or most of them at the very least, this has so many plot, like, convoluted things happening. And it is just kind of like, I think when you watch, like, a giallo, you just have to accept that there's going to be parts of the plot that you're like, okay, so that, like, didn't matter. And I know that the idea is that some parts are supposed to be, like, red herrings and stuff. But half the time, I feel like they're just, like, let's just dump in as much stuff as possible and keep it, like, jam-packed the whole time. And I do think that lessens the, like, the main plot impact.
So, I think that these are written very quickly. I think that, you know, there's not a lot of thought put into them. I think it's just kind of like, I have a feeling they even kind of just roll with it on set. And just kind of like add elements that are like, we don't have enough red herrings, or like, we don't have enough suspicion on enough characters yet. And so these films are very disingenuous with their suspects, right? Like, when you watch a really well-crafted mystery, when elements are introduced that put a spotlight on certain characters, the way they're interwoven and the way that they're resolved and the way that they are exposed throughout always make perfect sense and feel calculated. They feel on purpose. As to where with these, they feel like they're purposely meant to be dubious.
Yeah.
They're there to trick you, period. Not because they make sense, but because they're purposefully devious. Like, they're not meaning to create and craft a well-told story. They're just trying to pull the wool over your eyes, trick you, and then be like, haha, bet you didn't see the ending coming.
And also be, like, scandalous and raunchy at the
same
time.
But
like, I feel like
from just from a writing standpoint, you know, I get that. Yeah, it's an exploitative.
Yes, very much.
Medium, the giallo films, for sure. I mean, that's at the forefront, of course. But just from like a plot line and story, you know, that to me, when I'm watching these, it's none of the twists typically are earned. It's like, we made you believe something that was never going to be true, and we didn't even have a plan in place for it to be true. And now that you know all of the story, it doesn't even make any sense. Yeah. And so to me, that's just kind of more aggravating if it wasn't a giallo. But because you become so accustomed to it with these, it's to be expected. So there is leeway that you will grant these films that you wouldn't otherwise with other films, which feels like favoritism. You know, but I think especially older film, every genre and subgenre in the past has certain elements that you're willing to overlook because you're like, well, that's just of the time. Whether it's like special effects or if it's, you know, certain plot elements or whatever, or homophobia or racism or sexism. Yeah. You know, like, for some reason, even though the guys in this movie are talking about how it's like every dude's fantasy to bang a black chick, they literally only refer to this woman in the movie once she's dead as the black woman or black girl. Black girl or
the
woman?
Black girl. That's like all
I think
they
it's girl.
say.
They literally never respond to
Yeah.
her about her in any other way throughout the whole film. It's just kind of like, oh, the black girl used to live here. Oh, we're still on that case about the black girl.
Yeah,
like,
it's
what the fuck?
Very weird that they don't just say her name because the character does have a name.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair,
Starts with an M, right?
I don't know. I don't remember. We looked it up. I think on.
It's like I forget because I don't even know. You hear it in the film like once.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the letter, I think is whatever. But, they literally say, like, black girl 25 times in the film.
Yeah.
They've never... When you're working a case, a murder case,
I know.
you don't just use some, like, arbitrary label. Like, the blonde.
No, you should have
the
you should
Asian
name
broad.
your victim so that I was gonna say that I think in this, aside from maybe one like plot thread, I feel like they do try to tie everything together in the end. Like I wouldn't, even though I think it's convoluted and like packed full of all these like misdirections.
There's a lot of conveniences.
There's a lot of convenience, but I do think they try and like tie things up. There's just one thing that I'm kind of like I don't really understand, but
there's like so there's like all these little things. Like for instance, you have Adam who comes in. He's her ex-husband. He runs some sex cult. This all ends up being for nothing.
He's
right?
Edwige's characters.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her husband was like very possessive, literally thought women were only to serve men as sexual beings.
Yeah.
And that he wanted her to be with anyone that he deemed worthy to fuck her. Right? It's just like, we have orgies, you are there to have sex with them and me, and that is your only purpose in the world, and I am here to get you back as my property. Then we find bloody irises throughout the film, and he's part of a cult called the Iris Cult. Whatever, I don't know. I think they just refer to themselves as Iris or whatever. And that's supposed to be some tie to him. That's supposed to connect it to him. But he's dead halfway through the movie. But the flowers keep showing up. How this guy... Why are the bloody irises showing up after that? Why would... He was leaving them behind.
Yeah.
Right? And it would make sense because the first bloody iris she finds, it's because he has been stabbed and probably brought one to antagonize with her with it to like leave his calling card. And maybe the killer, saw it and just replicated it after. It's like, oh, he had an iris, I'm going to bring more. Because she finds like 3 throughout the film.
I mean, that whole subplot is kind of the one that I'm referencing with her ex-husband. I think that I guess it's not, I'm not going to say it's pointless. I don't think it's a pointless subplot, but it reminded me of All the Colors of the Dark to an extent because it's another like sex cult. But I think that that's also a very popular trope in horror movies and movies in general in the 70s.
It demonizes
female sexuality and specifically
and her leaving her husband is like the bad thing.
Yeah. So that's obviously problematic, but I don't
shout out
feel
to
like...
No Fault Divorce. No, I'm not going to get political.
I feel like all the
Terrible.
women have a horrible, and in a lot of giallo films, women, actually probably in all of them, women kind of get the short end of the stick. Like, it definitely is why one of the like subgenres for why people say that horror films, are purely exploitive of women. And I think if you take the giallo films like that, you have a great case to say like, yeah, it is. But
I wouldn't go there just because these people who are saying it within our circles in America, they've never seen a giallo in their life.
I know. But anyway, I think that like this film, especially because it is got that homophobic quality to it, it's
racist
and
sexist.
Racism and everything.
Yeah.
This is a good example of like women and minorities and all kinds of stuff being exploited. But yeah, I don't know where else I was going with that.
That's okay.
So
we'll move on. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many conveniences here. Like, she has a neighbor who's a burn victim, and he hides his identity to go attack women. But then the real killer catches him watching over his daughter, and his daughter is is a lesbian, and he blames the girls in the building, and so he starts killing them one by one and borrows the disguise of the killer. But there's also a cult leader who's following around one of the girls in the building, and it's like, come on, that's just too much.
The older woman neighbor who has that burn victim son, who is also, like, when we see the killer, who has a great look, by the way. I like the, like, fully black, like, spandex thing mask and the tan gloves.
Yeah, the gloves are different.
That looks really cool.
I mean, the look of the killer is pretty classic giallo.
Very classic, yes.
Blood and black lace.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's nice. And, anyway, the fact that there's two people running around looking like that, and one of them is the killer and the other one is just a rapist or like a peeping Tom or whatever.
And they're not in cahoots.
And they're not working together.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that happens all the time in giallo films. Like, they'll just have some other person that was also killing, and they'll be like, oh, he killed that person, but this guy was the one doing all the other stuff, or this lady was the one doing all the other stuff. And then, as you said, like, the sex cult, the ex-husband that's also involved in things, that's all just very, like, why? The burn boy, his mom, is also not a great lady, because she, like, it's weird. She basically feels the same way about all the girls and the women in the building that the killer does, whores. Where she thinks that they're corrupting her son and that they're evil and all that. And, that's just like, dude, what? Like, why does everyone... I mean, I know we'll get to the ending, because I guess maybe they're right, but
they're not right.
I mean, no, like in
right.
the film, I don't know if that's what's being said, but
I know.
Yeah,
what you're
I think
saying,
that's funny.
No,
the other, I do think that this movie has a lot of very memorable characters in it. Like, not all giallo films do. Sometimes I feel like it's just like one or two that you are like, oh yeah, I know them, like they're the lead, and then the rest of them are kind of forgettable. But the police officer duo in this, the inspector that's very like he's very persistent, but at the same time he's also very self-deprecating about being a police officer and being like, sometimes we do get it right, and like sometimes we do try, like.
Yeah,
I thought that was a very funny character, and his partner, or whoever that's working with him, is also very funny, because he always has a sandwich. He's like always eating a sandwich, and yeah.
So George Hilton, who is the main guy here, and Andrea, or however you say his name, whatever is the more masculine version, I think Andrea would be. He's also the star of The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward.
Yeah, I recognized him.
Wanted to point that out really quick. And
yeah, he's one of the more handsome leading men in a giallo film that we've seen. Because we always laugh about how the women are always gorgeous, beautiful, and then the guys that they're with are like old and
gross.
ugly
or
gross, but he's actually pretty handsome, so I feel like he fits.
Adam is not.
No,
Right.
Andrea is.
But he's supposed to be. Like off-putting, right?
Dude, okay, I have to say, when he took his shirt off, like when they showed the like sex scene, I know people can't help their body hair, but like his chest was just like, it was like a rug. It was crazy, and that's a very 70s thing too. I feel like a lot of guys probably shave or wax their chest nowadays.
Yeah, they don't.
Maybe
they
don't have to.
Yeah.
No, they do not have to. But
yeah.
I had a very visceral reaction to that. That's all I'll say.
We're just, we're of a different time.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Back then, like, no one groomed themselves, like, almost at all.
Yeah.
In those areas, they did everything from like here up. They shaved and they got haircuts and whatever. But from here down, I mean,
just like
girls
grow it out.
Maybe shaved their legs and stuff. As far as like pubic hair, chest hair,
Armpit hair.
Armpit hair, it depends. Like France, right? Obviously, French women typically don't shave their armpits. I bet that's probably changed now.
I don't know. I don't mean to be judgmental about it.
Because
I definitely think that you should grow out your body hair. I think it's unnatural to necessarily shave it all off, but I just feel like you never see guys with that much chest hair in TV or movies nowadays. So I was like...
No. So Mizar is the black girl. So Mizar works for this like casino where she's doing this like tough girl act on stage, and it's like, if you can pin me down for 3 minutes, you can have me.
Crazy.
I would think, okay, so like there's always missed opportunities in these kinds of things. So her death is it's not like graphic or anything, but it's just like a nightmare.
It's horrible.
Right? Being tied up and not being able to move and slowly drown.
Yeah.
That's always terrible. But I think what would have been great there is if the killer would have said, okay, you have 3 minutes under the water. If you can last that long, you can live.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
So flip the 3 minutes on her, and then that would create some kind of suspicion of the guy she lost the wrestling match, or that lost the wrestling match to her. Other people who have come into the club before, like it's someone who knows them.
Yeah.
So to use the 3 minute thing against her would have been cool.
Like a lot of giallis, though, the killer does not speak.
Sure, but you could even do it like, the slasher movie Graduation Day, where he puts up a stopwatch in front of the camera and he even shows it to her, and he's
they could totally do it.
And has something written down like 3 minutes or you die or whatever.
A note.
Hold your breath, 3 minutes and you live.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Whatever. So
I think that's it. Yeah, that's a neat thought.
Yeah. Did you know that according to the police in 1972 Italy, that stamp collecting and pedophilia is a quirk?
Yeah, quirky people. You collect stamps or you like little girls. Everyone has a quirk, I guess.
Everyone has a quirk.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild. I definitely always get really curious when we watch films that are, subtitled. I always wonder about like how close the translations are, because I feel like with romance
young girls would have been different than little girls.
It still has a very strong like connotation though of pedophilia, but what I was gonna say is that I think that like when there's an Asian language and then the subtitles, like I do know that there's gonna be differences because of just the difference of like how that language communicates. And
or how about young women? Is that better? That's
that's
what
better.
I meant.
Yeah, young girls and little girls are both like yeah. But with like Italian and Spanish and French and stuff, like obviously there are some words that exist in those languages that we don't have translations for in English, but I feel like it would be a pretty close translation is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. But I do wonder about it because that's crazy that he said that. That's
I have no doubt this is a 1-for-1 translation.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, some dudes like to fuck little kids. And some guys like me like to collect stamps. And I do both.
Said it like, I don't know. I thought he was saying it like sarcastically, but I don't know. Maybe. I didn't pick up on that, but I did think it was really like funny in a very dark humor kind of way.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the issues I had, and I guess this is true of a lot of these, but for some reason it was really getting me here, was Jennifer. She keeps getting like attacked, accosted, whatever, multiple times throughout the film. And not only is everyone very dismissive, but she just drops it and goes right back to her plucky self and right back to her apartment, no matter how many times she's attacked inside of it, how many times people have been murdered inside of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And she just immediately goes right back, living normal, going out on dates, laughing it up. It happens like 5 different times. She's either assaulted by Adam, she's assaulted by the killer, but not the killer. It's the burn guy posing as the killer, kissing, like trying to kiss on her. She finds the dead body of her husband in her room. The black girl, Mizar, was murdered in there.
Yeah.
Her roommate was murdered in the streets.
Yeah.
You know. But every single time she's attacked, when she's chased through a junkyard, when it doesn't matter. She just goes right back to her life like nothing happened.
I think in one of those, I think after they find her ex... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Whenever the neighbor, the daughter of the killer, when they go down into the basement and she gets steamed to death, which is awful.
She witnesses another murder.
She does start packing up then.
Yeah.
To be fair. She's like, I'm going to a hotel.
It only took 3 murders
and
multiple assaults.
You know, I do think that there are definitely a few scenes, like the date thing for sure is one where it's like she's like super upset in one shot and they literally cut to it and she's like eating like a strawberry and whipped cream dessert and like smiling. So that's a very jarring like, oh, okay, I guess, all right. But the other times, even though she does continue to return to her apartment, I do think that she is upset that the men are not listening to her.
Yeah.
Or at least not taking her as seriously as they should be taking her.
I mean, the person they should not be taking seriously until she dies is Marilyn, the roommate.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Who, for some reason, thinks it's funny to fake her death in the same bathtub as, what's her freaking name again? Mizar.
Mizar.
It's such a weird name. Mizar? Mizar. But yeah, she does the whole fake out death. I drowned and whatever. And then they come in and Andrea is pissed and she keeps kind of going at it and he fucking wallops her, man. Like full backhand, just complete domestic abuse, just fucking right across her face. She has zero reaction to it. She just kind of goes back and she's like, oh, like, what's up with him? Oh, I guess maybe I did take it too far. Wow, he really loosened some of my teeth. Like, anyway, and she goes right back to her night.
All of that scene is so insane because the joke that she's making is just crazy. It's so offensive. It's so how could you even do that? This literally happened this week. And
in this apartment.
In this apartment, in this very bathtub.
In that very bathtub.
And then her reaction to him hitting her, too, is just
kind of just it's like women are just...
She's so used to it.
Like men hit us.
This happens in giallo films, though. Women get smacked all the time when they're being hysterical or when they're upset about something.
Or when they're playing a prank.
I mean, okay, the prank is really bad.
The prank is bad, but
probably not.
I'm not hitting the chick.
The other times when girls are just crying because they were almost killed, and then somebody's just smacks them. Well, that's crazy too.
According to Sean Connery, a woman needs to be slapped around every once in a while.
Bro, no way.
So Marilyn also. This is such a random note, but honestly, with every 70s film, it's something I always comment on. I never, ever, ever, ever see someone wear a bra.
Yeah,
she has a very obvious bra under her see-through shirt. And I was like, wow, an actual bra in the 70s. I didn't even know those existed.
Jennifer has a bra on, too.
Does she have one on?
Yes, because when she gets attacked in her apartment, she runs out.
She wears the,
it's like a lace.
It's like a see-through bra.
Yeah, it's like a sexy bra.
Yeah, you can see her nipples through it, so it's almost like she's not wearing a bra. But yeah, it's funny because every time we watch these things, and we barely see her naked in this. We see her painted.
Yeah.
And we see some sex scenes. Let me say something about the sex scenes in giallos. They are not sexy. No. The music they play. Oh my good God.
The music was so wild.
But there's no it's supposed to be sexy. That's the whole aim at it. It's supposed to feel sexy and sensual. And it's just there's no passion.
Yes.
In the kisses, in the caressing.
Yeah, none.
It's all just kind of very awkward and...
It's they just are okay, we're going to put these attractive people, mostly just an attractive woman, get them naked, and that's supposed to be the sexiness and the sensuality. But you're right. Like, there's so many more elements to something being sexy, and a big part of that is the chemistry of the actors. I never find any giallo sex scene, like, actually sexy at all. I think the women are always beautiful, and like, this is the other part of, like, that guilty pleasure thing where I'm like, I really like how women look in giallo films, but it's like, that's kind of the point. Like, they're there to just, like, look pretty and be, like, these, things
Objects.
that the guys, objects that the guys interact with. But I always really love the outfits that they're in. I think they always look, like, super fashionable and adorable, but that's kind of it, right? Like, it's this, like, very unattainable.
Very cute outfits in this.
She had adorable outfits in this. And
that, like, sailor outfit.
The sailor outfit. There's like a mini skirt look that she has that's super cute. But they are like dolls. Like, the women in these movies are dolls, and
like paper dolls. Yeah.
That's the misogyny. That's the, like, false advertising of, like, this is what it looks like to be feminine and to be a woman. Like, you have to be slim and, like, have perky boobs and always have your makeup done and look just perfect all the time and be willing to have sex with, like, a lot of different guys or, like, whatever.
They always go to bed with their, like, love interest,
like, right away,
like 2 seconds,
and it's always like their life is like, now it's this man, like, this man is now my life, like, he's like, everything,
and I love you,
and that sucks, like, because that's the guilty pleasure where I'm like, I don't agree with this, like, morally, but I like watching them because I do think that, like, aesthetically they are very visually pleasing, although I think this one is one of the less, which we already mentioned, as far as, like, lighting and camera work. And another thing, there's one location in this that's, like, it's like literally like a 5-second shot after Jennifer goes to the junkyard to meet Andrea, and then she, like, sees the other cop following her, so she runs into this weird building that's, like, got all these pillars, and that's a very giallo place. And that's something that I love in giallo films are these, like, really unique locations, and this film doesn't really have any of that. This is the one shot that stood out to me as far as location. Otherwise, the rest of the time we're in an apartment building, we're in an apartment specifically, or we're, like, on a street somewhere, or at the police station. And there's no, like, cool lighting with different colors or anything. So this doesn't have any of the, like, really nice visual aesthetics most giallos, not most, but the good giallos have. Yeah
So our killer here, the professor, he accidentally kills his own daughter. What sets him off is he thinks all of the girls in this building have turned his daughter gay. If it wasn't for them, she'd be straight as an arrow. She'd be taking dicks nightly because that's what he wants, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
But he's very mad about it. He accidentally kills her because he thinks it's Jennifer. This pisses him off, of course, even more. He kills the burned guy, throws him down the stairwell. I think this is an attempt to frame him for her murder, that they, like, fought and went over the edge together. But then he goes to, like, throw her over, enters Andrea. He fights with him. We get finally some payoff to his blood phobia, which, honestly, it doesn't really amount to anything, right? Like, it drips on his face, and then we get, like, a shot that tells us visually that his parents died in a car wreck. This is why he has a blood phobia. And I guess this kind of, like, takes him off his guard for a second to almost get thrown over, and then he gives our killer the nicest, softest knee in the back, which completely makes him not only, like, lose his balance and fall over the railing, but completely lose his grip on Andrea and not take him with him. It's like the most convenient thing ever. And what's so stupid about it, what pisses me off about it so much, and adds to the misogyny of the time, it's like, women are useless. They are freaking like sex objects. They always, at the end of these movies, they just stand there. They don't do anything, and it's like, this guy's back to him. She's sitting, I mean, she is literally almost as close as Kaylee is to me right now. she's just like I can't do anything.
And Andrea, like, is like this guy that she's like, supposed to be in love with after meeting,
Sure. And she's like, I'm wrong. I screwed him over.
Yeah.
Right? Which he forgives her in 2 seconds, I guess. He's like, you're all the same and go away. Piss off. Scram.
I know. So crazy.
So she could have this is how you set up something, right? You set up something that was her weakness before. Give her the blood phobia or whatever. Something like her husband used against her. The blood iris. But have it be something else. Something that she is avoided. And then she uses that thing against her attacker and saves the day. But of course they can't give the woman the win.
Was not the plan for this for this film especially. It's like the guy has to save.
But would have made so much more sense had she stabbed him in the neck. Which is what gave him the ability to put him off his guard,
sure,
off balance and to throw him over.
2-on-1 is always going to be a lot harder.
But he can still win by him being the one who throws him over the stairwell.
Oh, I agree, of course. And
men are so fucking fragile. You're such fucking little bitches. I swear to God, for the guys who are for the superior species that we are supposed to be of, the superior sex. We are little bitches inside where we're like, we have to be the victors and the fucking strong ones. Who cares? It's a fucking movie.
After he throws the killer over and he's they're embracing and he's forgiving her and all that stuff. He's like, it's okay. It's just a bad... I think he says a bad dream. He's like, it was just a bad dream. Forget about it.
Yeah, you're right.
And she's like, okay. And then it cut, and
yeah,
we thought that was gonna be. We
them.
thought that was gonna be the end of the movie.
But we don't see them again, so that's that.
That's the end of that. So it's
she's just I dropped the whole thing. But that's how she took every other scene. So this isn't hard for her. Yeah, she's like, oh, no problem. I'm already gone. I'm already done with it. Let's go have dinner.
When her romantic interest tells her what to do and think and feel, she does it.
Yeah.
And then the ending of this movie is, I have no idea.
Before we get into that, because that will be the last thing we talk about since it is the end of the film and we're done with this. Also, I was thinking for sure it has to play into this film in some way. They're focusing so much of their attention on it, but it's just a quirk like pedophilia. It's literally this guy talks about stamp collecting and collects stamps throughout the movie, and I'm like, he's gonna solve the case by a rare stamp that's this came from this shop that only sold this in 1932. I know who the killer is. Something. Literally nothing comes of his stamp collecting. It is there for no reason. It is so fucking bizarre to me. It's why introduce that into the film outside of just I literally don't know. Just to give him some kind of personality?
Yeah.
But it doesn't serve literally any purpose.
No.
Literally any. Add him to the suspect list to where she looks at the envelope and sees a stamp on it and thinks wait a minute. I saw this stamp in the commissioner's office. Maybe it was him that sent the letter. Something!
No, I mean, I think a lot of people in this time, collected stamps. That used to be, such a big hobby that people had.
They mention it so many times.
No, I agree with you. It's literally just to be this is what he does for fun. And I think that they set up, this buddy cop kind of thing going on with the two of them.
It's fine.
I don't know. I don't know what the point of him... Of continuously mentioning the stamp thing is, aside from just being.
But in a movie like this, where you're looking to have reasons to create more suspicion towards more characters, the more red herrings in these, the better.
Yeah, I agree with you. It should have been used as a red herring, as you said, where
or
it's
something, or how he solves the case.
It's not used that way.
It's not used at all.
It's a missed opportunity for sure.
It's not even a misdirect.
The final scene of the cops together is something about him with a stamp. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get the end of the movie, which I don't fucking know. Some girl calls in. It's kind of the beginning of the movie because the lesbian girl who's dead now. She was the one who was bringing the prostitute up to her. The first kill of the movie in the elevator. And the killer killed her because she's corrupting his daughter. She's going to go have sex with her. How the hell he would know? I don't know. He listens in her phone calls. He's got nothing better to do. I have no idea. But we end the movie. And I even was like, we went back. I read the Wikipedia. I wanted to go back and rewind it. I didn't do that. But like we talked about it for a while, like trying to, did we miss something? And then I went to like Reddit threads because I was like, what the fuck is this ending? Where it's a like 10-second scene of a girl in a phone booth. She calls up and she's like, yeah, come on up. And she's like, all right, I'm on my way. And then like smiles and then it's like Finn. And I'm like,
it was like, wait, what?
So go ahead.
Well, this is what I was meaning about, because we both took it this way, about them, about the old woman neighbor and the killer being right in that she's calling somebody in the apartment. Yeah.
Another woman.
Another
corrupted lesbo.
Who is in fact corrupting women.
Yeah,
or the prostitute is corrupt, whatever.
The building is
whichever way it's going, whether it's the people, like the prostitutes that are being hired or the women in the building, like whatever the case is, the women are corrupt and turning each other into lesbians, which is great. And they should keep doing that. Like, that's good. But I think this is a stupid, stupid ending. Like, it is totally unnecessary. Like, to be honest, like, so many Giallo films have really dumb endings in general, and this one, even without this on, is dumb. Like, if it ends at the
stairwell,
at the stairwell scene, it's dumb. If it ends with the postage stamp scene, it's dumb. Adding this onto it is just extra dumb.
I don't think that the stairwell ending is dumb. I think it might be a tad silly and lackluster, but like it's the best of the three if I'm taking any of them as to be my ending.
It makes the most sense for an ending of the film, but it's dumb because of the dialogue.
The two next scenes after that, and it's funny because these typically are over. Yeah. The second the killer is dead, like I've literally seen it to where the killer like hits the ground and it's like credits. It's like, we're like, done. The killer's dead. We got nothing else to say. That's a fucking movie.
There's no denouement.
So typically, with these types of films, that's the way it goes. And with this, they should have went that way, like they usually do.
Yeah.
Because the tacked on 2 extra, like, scenes that amount to, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes, somewhere in that area. They feel completely unnecessary.
They feel out of place, too. Like, maybe that's even
They feel like they should be in a different part of the film.
Yes, they feel like really
they're like deleted scenes that they're like, we have these scenes. Fuck it, just put them on the end.
So I feel like it's safe to say that it does just end at the stairwell scene, and then the others are just like some bonus.
Scenes, bonus clips.
Because, they add nothing, so.
No, I think you're right, though. I think that's, we both agreed on that. That was something I had said when I was trying to figure it out. I was like, you know what, I think this is just trying to say, like, another lesbian is getting created.
Like, aren't women so evil for liking other women?
Well, this building is, like a ground zero for lesbianism.
But they don't like actually focus on, like, that would have been kind of interesting if they're like, the building itself, like, this location turns women gay.
She should have looked at the camera and been like, that would have been funny.
Crazy.
And then Hail Satan.
She's like,
Hail Satan!
I was gonna say, like, what? She's freaking long legs. Yeah, but it's like movies. They are entertaining. We have fun, like, kind of laughing at them and laughing at the datedness and the misogyny and sexism and racism and all of that stuff, because they are like these weird little time capsules in cinema history. And there's definitely ones that have great stories and, well, I won't say great stories, but great visuals.
Yeah.
And great. Anyway, this one's fun though. If you're a Giallo fan,
it's a must see.
Obviously, you've already watched all of this review or listened to all of it, so yeah.
So that is our discussion over the brand new 4K copy of The Case of the Bloody Iris by Celluloid Dreams. Definitely check out the website and look forward to their next film, The Belly of the Black Tarantula, which should be coming soon, as it says right here.
Yay.
So I hope this company thrives.
Yeah.
I hope we stay in their good graces and are also sent this. But if we're not, we're not greedy.
No.
We're just going to turn your kids into lesbians.
Yeah.
Kaylee
It's
can do that.
the agenda.
Or I can treat them so bad that they become lesbians. They're like, oh, fucking dudes.
I like that.
Suck.
I don't think you can turn people into... Anyway.
Conversation for a different time. All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you in the comments.
Yeah.
Thank you to Guido. Thank you to everyone at Celluloid Dreams for making our celluloid dreams come true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right, guys.
Bye.